What's up, everyone? I am your host, Coleman Hodges, and welcome to the 2024 Paris Olympic Games event by event preview podcast. I am joined today by SwimSwam writers Yanyan Lee, Sophie Kaufman, and Laura Rosado. We are going down the list day by day and giving you a full preview of the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. This episode of the SwimSwam podcast is sponsored by Commit Swimming, SwimSwam's exclusive team management software partner. Since 2015, Commit has been providing coaches with swimming's leading workout management software. And now, Commit has team management software too. Commit wants to help you make the switch from Team Unify to a simpler, more powerful solution. Their onboarding and customer service team will walk you through every step of the way. Check them out at commitswimming.com to book your demo today. That's COMMIT swimming.com. This is going to be part 1 of 3. We are actually sectioning these previews off. This is only day 1, 2, and 3. If you're listening to this after the fact, you can probably days 4, 5, and 6, and 7, 8, and 9 are already out. So you can go check those out as well. But for now, we're previewing the first 3 days of Olympic competition in Paris. We're only going finals by day, so we're not going to be talking about semifinal potential on this podcast or really on any other podcast because I don't think anyone needs that. But starting with day 1 in Paris, the first event, men's 400 freestyle. I think it's safe to say this is going to be probably the fastest men's 400 free heat we've ever seen. We have multiple men who have already breached into the 340.2 realm. Lucas Martins and Sam Short are set to battle, as well as Elijah Winnington, who's been 341 as a career best. And really almost 10 guys, an entire final who have been under 344. So Yanyan, I'm going to throw this one to you first. Men's 400 free, who do you see winning and who do you see making it onto the podium?
Okay, so I made picks before this. I have Lucas Martins winning because I feel like he's just been right there for the past few years. Got a silver medal in 2022, got a bronze medal in 2023, and this year he just posted the fastest time out of anyone in this Olympic cycle. And I don't mean to pull the time zone card, but I do think that Paris being in Europe and he's from Germany does help him compared to his main competition, which is Sam Short and Elijah Winnington from Australia. That being said, I think Sam Short's going to get second and his teammate Elijah Winnington's going to get third. Those are the 3 top seeds. This shouldn't be surprising podium picks. I feel like other people are going to have similar podium picks, but that's what I have.
All right. Sophie, Laura, rebuttals?
I mean, I think the time zone thing is pretty fair to bring up, like especially when kind of thinking about, at the 2023 World Championships, like Australia basically had the best first night that I think anybody could really ever hope for. And, this event is going to start that off here in Paris, like with Sam Short winning, and winning to start things off for them in 2023. Like how you think Australia is going to do at this meet really gets put to the test, like right up front. I do think that Short will win this. I mean, obviously this field takes a hit without Hafnaoui, but I haven't totally finished my picks yet. I do have Martins getting silver. He's been on the podium in this event at the last 3 World Championships. He's been incredibly consistent. He just hasn't been able to get his hand on the wall first. And in our preview of this event, someone in the comments noted that the reigning world champion has not been successful at winning Olympic gold in this event since Park Tae-won in 2008, which I think is an interesting stat to consider, especially when you've got someone like Kim, who did win in Doha and has looked, really strong throughout the spring.
Okay, how much weight can we put on reigning world champion when that reigning world champion came from 2024? Because to me, I know they're technically not the reigning world champions, but in my mind, I consider the 2023 world winners to be the reigning world champions because, well, in this conversation, because 2023 Worlds was the last meet where you really had everyone going all out, and that's the highest stakes meet before Paris, I feel like. So
I think that's an interesting point. I'm high on Kim Woo-min, and I think that's just purely recency bias. I saw him swim at Mare Nostrum, and he completely dominated the 400, which is an event we don't see a lot of fast times in, especially on the men's side in season. And so for him to, I don't remember what he went. I think it was between 344 and 343, but like he killed everyone. And to see him swim with the efficiency that he has, with the stroke he has such a smooth stroke. He's been 342. He's got a great trajectory and he's young. I am hoping the time zone doesn't affect him too much, but I would really love to see him medal. I think Lucas Martins is primed. I think Sam Short, after his trials, probably has a monkey on his back and is hungry to prove his world title in 23 wasn't a fluke. But I would honestly love to see Kim Woo-min take the win for it all. I don't think that's really going to happen, but I'm just saying that's what I want to happen.
I'm glad you're high on Kim as well, because I have him for silver. I think Martin's just, this is his race. He's been 340. I like 40 from 42 to 340 is a ways to go. But kind of in the line of what you're saying, Yanyan, about the 2024 Worlds, I see it more of as a stepping stone rather than like they're not in a place to prove. Well, generally, I would say most champions, they're not in a place to prove anything. They got another opportunity to race under their belt, and I see that as a lot of momentum going into Paris this summer. I'll say this. I'll have a different take when we get to different events later, but definitely really high on Kim. Though I just think his peak is going to be silver.
I'm just as a kind of a sleeper pick. What do we think? I'm just going to throw a name out there. Daniel Wiffen. He looks really great in the 800 and the 1500. Do we think he has any potential to medal in this event?
No, because he's not swimming it.
Trick question. Sophie, you passed.
If you do want a sleeper pick, though, I think Costa's a really good one. He's been in these finals so often, and I think he's someone who gets really easily overlooked. But both in the 400 and the 800, we've seen him close a race really strong, which, as we've seen, just has gotten increasingly more and more important in these finals. So I think if you're looking for like an off-the-board take for someone who, you're looking for someone who hasn't been 340 yet, he's a good one to have an eye on.
thank you for catching me on the Daniel Wiffen thing before I said something kind of bad, because I just told Cat 40 from Sports Illustrated that the Sports Illustrated article had Summer McIntosh and swimming medaling in the 200 free and 800 free when she's not swimming it. So I would be making my own mistake that I called out. That would have been bad.
That's I mean, I'm sure Yanyan loves Sophie's sleeper pick, as she has Guilherme Costa on her fantasy team.
I do. I would love for Guilherme Costa to be a sleeper pick.
I did love, similarly to the Summer McIntosh fiasco, I did love that Sports Illustrated's top 100 athlete list had Katie Ledecky as a strong favorite to win the 400 free and the 200 free, or either that or the
4x200 relay.
Yeah. Which, maybe, I guess you could perhaps make an argument, but probably not. However, that does bring us to the next final of day one, the women's 400 freestyle. I feel like everyone's picks are probably somewhat similar, at least for the podium on this one. And we are looking at an Ariarne Titmus, Summer McIntosh, and Katie Ledecky podium. If anyone has another athlete besides those three on the podium, speak now or forever hold your peace.
I mean, is that the order you're locking in, Coleman?
Yes, it is. And that is because Ariarne Titmus is on my fantasy team. And therefore, that's what I need to happen, specifically in a world record fashion for Ariarne Titmus. I'm calling it now. I'm a huge proponent for the time zone factor, and I think Titmus transcends it. I'm making an exception that benefits me completely. I think Titmus breaks the world record. I think Summer bounces back after last summer at Worlds and gets a silver medal, gives Titmus a good fight. And I think Katie Ledecky stays in there. I think she'll be 57 something. I don't know what. But she gets a strong bronze. I'm calling 55, 56, 57. Bing, bang, boom.
Yeah, with this event being the first event of the meet for Katie, I can see her throwing down a pretty fast time, like she did at Olympic trials for standards.
58 at trials. Oh my God.
Yeah, she went through 58 at trials. I think that was her fastest trials time ever. And then she went her second fastest time ever in Tokyo. So I can see that trend continuing. And I was thinking about this the other day. I had a conversation with a friend about this. And it's about whether Erica Fairweather can take over Ledecky on the podium. I don't think this is going to happen. But if by any chance someone, either Katie or like Summer did last year, Erica Fairweather can definitely step up. She's right there. She broke 350 4 minutes for the first time last year, went through 59 again this year. And I don't think she's going anywhere. It's really a matter of whether the top three swimmers ahead of her are able to swim up to expectation.
Yeah,
Sophie?
I totally agree with that. Like I think Erica Fairweather will also be under 4 minutes in this Olympic final, and to say that and then also say that I don't think that will get her on the podium just like really speaks to, how far ahead Ledecky, Titmus, and McIntosh are when they swim at their peak. We didn't get all three of them firing on all cylinders last summer, and I just hope that we get that this year.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be, again, probably the fastest women's 400 free final in history. Looks like it has a great chance for 4 women to dip under 4 minutes. Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps 5? If you want to go with a sleeper pick, I mean,
Li Bingji.
Li Bingji has been 4:01.0. Paige Madden is 4:02.0 and is having a sensational season. So maybe if she hits the taper on the nose, she could dip under as well. She's only, 2 seconds and change isn't impossible, but I think it's gonna be quick, and I think we're gonna see some serious speed. Laura, any hot takes to close us out on this one?
No, unfortunately, no hot takes for this race. I think the top 3 are locked in. There could be a shuffle between McIntosh and Ledecky for silver and bronze, but I think it's Titmus all the way here.
Interesting. No one has Summer winning, huh? Everyone's going Titmus.
Titmus scares me.
I think Titmus is a vet. Like the 200 free, it's kind of between her and Molly O'Callaghan, but the 400 free is all hers, and it has been hers since 2019. She has not lost a single international final in this race since 2019. Like, this is her event.
It's hard to argue with that. hasn't lost an event or hasn't lost a final since I guess 2018.
18 at Pan Pacs when she got second to Ledecky, and here we go.
Yeah, 6 years of dominance. Pretty good. All right. The next final of day 1, women's women's 400 free relay. Okay. Australia had a sensational day one, as mentioned before, at the 2023 World Championships, and a lot of potential for them to do so again here. This women's 400 free relay is very much in favor of that. We got Australia coming in at 3:27.96. We have the U.S. coming in a whopping 4 seconds behind them at 3:31.9. China is third seed at 3:32.4, followed by Britain at 3:33.9. Those are the top 4 seeds. Those are the only 4 teams under 3:34, which isn't that significant of a barrier, but that's just how it goes. Laura, start us off.
I mean, do I have to say anything other than Australia wins this? I think it depends on how the 400s go. If they're jazzed enough to go after that world record, they're just gonna be so. I mean, they're just gonna be so
really
far
gonna set the
ahead
tone
already. Yeah, like if they're walking into this relay with 2 golds already, I think they go after it. If there's an upset, if I mean, I doubt Titus will get upset, but if they don't get the gold in the men's race, I think maybe they're a little nervous. Maybe they don't feel as unfallible.
I don't think it matters,
I don't know.
Laura. I don't think it matters.
I'm just spitballing. I'm just trying to come up with any way to say that I don't think Australia will break this world record. I mean, their trials were insane, and the freestyle, women's freestyle. Behind them, I do think the U.S. slots in for silver. I think China's got a lot. There's a lot of eyes on them right now, and I think they'll need to shake that off in some way.
A lot of drug tests on China right now.
Yeah, I just that can't be good for your mindset, your mental. I think, but I think that the U.S. still slots in for silver, but it's going to be like clean water behind Australia. Yeah.
All right, let's go around the world right now in this podcast, not metaphor. Anyway, percentage chance that U.S. upsets Australia in this event. Laura, what percent are you giving U.S. women?
10. Give it 11.
11.
Prime number.
Okay. All right. Sophie?
Yeah, I mean, like 5%, I think. Like, obviously, there's always a chance, right? That's why you swim the race. But it would be an incredible surprise if Australia did not win this.
I'm gonna have to go with 5% as well. I do think the US has a better chance of upsetting Australia than they did last year, because I do think Australia will be slower than last year, and I think the US will be faster than last year, because I don't see them having like a 54 lead off like they did. But the gap is not enough.
Yeah, it's still a lot of time to make up, specifically 4 seconds to make up.
Just 1 second per leg.
1 second per leg. So yeah. Shayna, Molly,
Meg.
Who do you think? Meg, Emma? I'm guessing Emma's going to be a little more on than she was at trials.
Emma, and if she's not on, then Bronte, because Bronte went 52.9, I believe, in trials.
So they'll have 3 stallions and then one legendary vet is kind of the consensus guess at this point, which seems, I'm going to give US 16.66%. I'm giving them 1/6 because I'm in the boat that Yanyan is, but way, way further down the river. I think Australia doesn't look quite as dominant as they did last year. I think US looks the fastest they ever have. An American record is getting set in that final, any way you slice the bread, in my eyes, because I think we will also have 3 stallions in Gretchen Walsh, Kate Douglas, Tori Husk, and then a vet, a legend in Sarah Emanuel.
But those 3 stallions are not the same It's like a Chevy Camaro versus a Lamborghini.
Oh.
It's true, but you know what? It's the Olympics and anything can happen. So I think 1/6 is fair, but this is a losing battle. I understand that. I think China slotting in for third was a good pick. Also, I see them. They do have a lot of, I don't know, maybe baggage going into this games, but I do think that they're going to perform pretty well as a team, and I think that relay looks pretty solid for them, especially because Zhang Yufei is on my fantasy team. Next up, the men's 400 free relay, which is a lot spicier than the women's. Australia is the top seed from their world champ winning time last year at 3:10.1. Then Italy, US are both at 3:10 also. China's in there at 3:11. Canada is in there at 3:12. Great Britain is in there at 3:12 also. Brazil somehow also 3:12. I think, honestly, those top six, I feel like all have a very decent shot at medaling. Sophie, can you start us off on this one?
Yeah, I started out this podcast by agreeing with Yanyan about the time zone point, and then to this point, I have had Australia winning in everything. I think I'm gonna have to break that trend here. This event, it was 3:08.9 to win in Tokyo, and it's gotten slower to win at each successive world championships that we've seen in this last quad. I think it was a 3:11 to win, in Doha, with Pan setting the world record leading off for China. I think that time comes crashing back down in this final. Great Britain, of course, is a little underseeded because they were disqualified in Fukuoka. So that time is from Doha, where not everybody
That's
was.
probably why Sports Illustrated had them off the podium. Sports Illustrated had Great Britain off the podium. Their podium was Australia, US, Italy, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's, this race always brings some kind of drama to it. But I do think, based on how the US trials went with 6 men under 48, it's so hard to bet against them right now. I personally feel.
Laura, rebuttal?
I mean, since Yanyan brought up Sports Illustrated, I really like their tagline for this race, which is always among the favorites. Australia has only won this race once, at home in 2000. So that just gave me a good chuckle. But I don't think I don't think I have a rebuttal here. I mean, I think Dressel said it best when he saw the results for this heat, when he was like, "Whoa, that's fast." I didn't even notice that because it was fast. I think the biggest thing the U.S. will have to overcome is having their top 2 guys from trials having this be their first Olympics, not their first international team, but just the pressure of the Olympics, and they're not the really only swimmers; they're the individual entries. I think it's just going to set up a lot of storylines there, and how do they handle the pressure? How do they step up? But their times are there.
Any predictions on U.S. relay order from anyone?
I think Dressel goes first, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's
noted that to his start.
And that's also your veteran getting them off to a start, right? Which I think is what they want, given the wealth of experience.
They probably go Dressel, Giuliano, Armstrong, and then Alexi anchoring. Alexi and Dressel are kind of in the same boat, where I think both of them are better with a flat start in freestyle than on relays, but I do think that Dressel provides greater advantage leading off.
Yeah, Dressel's got the better start. I think Alexi anchors, Giuliano Armstrong in the middle. Yeah, no disagreements there.
I love that order because Hunter Armstrong's on my fantasy team. And if you hadn't noticed, I'm going to bring that up a lot. I'm itching for the win here, but also a fun piece of insight Jason Lezak emailed me and said he is excited to watch this relay and excited to watch his world record get broken. So
Ooh.
the man, the myth, the legend himself thinks that we're going to see a 307 in this event.
Ooh.
Who does he
Which
think
is
has the 46?
speedy? I mean, I think if Dressel goes 47, 3? 47.4, close to his trials time, I think Giuliano and Alexi could both pretty easily split flying 46s, and Hunter Armstrong with a solid 47 in there. I don't know about the math on that one or what they have to go, but seems like it could happen.
Yeah. Can I ask to the group? I mean,
yeah.
Speaking of world records, is the 100 free world record getting broken on the leadoff?
Oh.
So you got Pan.
It would be him, right? Because Chalmers, of course, is going to anchor.
Chalmers should
anchor. I don't think Romania has a relay.
Do you think Caleb has it in him?
That would be fun.
It'd be a great bit. I'd love to see it.
It'd be a great bit.
It'd be a la Dean Ferris on the 4x200.
Seriously. I think if Pan is going to do it, it would be then. I don't think it's going to be in the final. It's well documented about the nerves, the competition. Everyone's kind of a little bit more into the meet and on their game at that point. So I think if Pan was going to do it, it will be there. And, he broke it 5 months ago. I mean, will he do it again? Yeah, why not? 46.7. So someone in the comments was saying, we're going to see 246 mids in the final.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little aggressive.
I mean, I wish. That would be fun.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be fun.
That'd be a great bit.
Yeah.
But I just am not totally sold on that one. Okay. We're moving on to day 2. First final up is the men's 400 IM, which I think is fairly cut and dry. You got the world record holder in Leon Marchand. You do have 3 men after him who have all been sub 407 in Carson Foster, Diaceto, and Chase Kalish, although those last 2
context matters.
Say what?
Oh, I said context matters.
Yeah, so the last 2 are kind of not in their prime, certainly, and then you got a couple or a few 409s, 408s as best times in there as well. Last Olympics, we saw kind of a crazy heat where 410 won from Chase Kalish. I think it was slower than prelims. I might be getting that mixed up, but that's 409 for Kalish 1, and then Jay and Brennan Smith were both 410 to medal. But I think this is going to be not that surprising. Yanyan, give us your insight.
Yeah, it's not very surprising. I think especially the top 2 are kind of set in stone. Leon Marchand, heavy favorite for gold. Carson Foster, heavy favorite for silver. I will say, Carson Foster pulling off an upset against Leon Marchand in Marchand's home pool with the whole Carson Foster redemption arc story happening at trials. That would be really cool, but I don't think it's gonna happen. And my pick for bronze is Louis Clareburt. He's been the 3rd fastest out of all swimmers this Olympic cycle, not counting Russians. And he's kind of just been right there. He did beat Carson Foster at 2024 Worlds. Was in the 2023 Worlds final, although he did not swim up to par there. But I think he just has a lot going for him, and that's my pick for bronze. But if not him, you can always count on Chase Kalish.
He has been a model of consistency over the past few years for sure. I love that Leon Marchand's season best is 4:10 right now, which like he's what, like the 8th fastest in the world or something like that. If Carson Foster upset Leon in Paris, I think the United States would like crap its pants. Like it would lose its mind as a country.
That would be like a Jason Lezak type of headline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be insane. Commentary on the men's 400 IM. I know it's probably pretty set in stone, but any other comments?
I have the same podium as Yanyan, so I agree with her.
I don't, but I just would love to see Seto get on the podium. I mean, he beat Foster in Doha, but I think that's a very emotional pick for me. I think looking at the numbers, it's very difficult to justify Seto getting past Foster and Claire Burt and just like all these other folks in the field.
I mean, he could get bronze. I can see him getting bronze. I just don't think he'll.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, my hottest take is Foster misses this podium, but I don't think that I don't want to back that one up right now.
What?
Ow.
I've just seen him disappoint me before, is what I was saying. This is a hot topic in my friend group. Whenever we're always holding our breath when we see him get up to swim. And yes, he had a great trials, but he also didn't win gold in Doha, which everyone was. It seemed like that was his moment there, his moment to win a world gold without Marchand in the field. So I will still be holding my breath to watch this race, and I think it being the first one of the whole meet, and just that energy is going to be Foster's first swim of the whole meet. I'm just saying, I've been in this position before where I've been too high, but I would love to be surprised.
Next final of day 2, women's 100 fly. We have got such a loaded here. The world record holder, the 2021 Olympic champion, the 2022 world champion, the 23 world champion, the 24 world champion. They are all different women. They are all competing in this 100 fly. I think it's going to be a really great race. Obviously, top seed is Gretchen Walsh in 55-1, where she broke the world record at U.S. trials. Yanyan, can you get us started on this one? What do you see in your crystal ball for the women's 100 fly?
Yeah, so for big meets like the Olympics, I do tend to value consistency over speed, which is why I have Tori Huss winning Olympic gold over Gretchen Walsh, because Tori Huss has been there year after year. She was fourth in the Olympics in the last Olympics, won in 2022, bronze in 2023, went a bunch of best times this year, and she just like has been consistently improving year by year, and she has that experience, and I don't think she's missed a single international final in her lifetime. And I think this is her year. With Gretchen Walsh, it's more about the fact that she probably has more experience from last year. So I don't think she's gonna add like a ton of time, but I do think she will add time, and I don't think she'll be as fast as she was at trials. But I have her for second. And then for third, I've got Jang Yufei in bronze, best 100 flyer of last year. She hasn't really shown any signs of slowing down. Those are my picks.
Those are the picks. Laura, any differences in podium?
No differences in podium, but I'll just add a little Gretchen Walsh commentary. I think if she had broken the world record in finals at trials, I would have her for gold. But because she did it in semis and then like, you know, regressed a bit, stole this number 2 time in history. I just think that point, like, it just points to some lack of experience on this stage. And again, like, Tori Husk has been there. She has the experience, she has the hardware. And I just don't see Walsh like getting to her world record time in Paris after just like that was the perfect moment for her right in the semis at trials. I think maybe in her career she could approach it again, but just not this summer.
Sophie?
I agree on the Gretchen Walsh takes. I think what Laura said about Carson Foster in the 400 IM does also apply here to Walsh, and I, agree with what has already been said. I have Maggie McNeil for bronze, the Tokyo Olympic champion. She's had an up and down a couple of years since Tokyo. She took that time off in 2022 and only swam relays, I think, last summer. But she's been progressing really well kind of through that journey. And she's looked strong throughout this season. I think she was 56.4 at Canadian trials, maybe faster. But, she didn't need to throw anything wild down at Canadian trials. And what we've seen her get in these finals, and like, she knows how to race. She's got a really strong back half. This is one of those events that I think no one has ever won twice. It's just, and in this loaded field, it's hard to see that streak getting broken here, but I do think she gets back on the podium.
I'm so conflicted. I would love to see Maggie get on the podium. Zhang Yufei is on my fantasy team. Real tough pick for me there. I love Tori Husk winning. I think that's a really solid pick for the reasoning you explained. It's hard to see Gretchen off the podium, even if she adds time. She has so much time to add and still be in the 55s. I do think it takes 55 to medal as it did in Tokyo. And I think there's a good chance a 55 doesn't medal as in Tokyo. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Zhang Yufei for bronze as well, just because I want the points, if we're being honest here. Last final of day 2, men's 100 breast. Somebody tell me, is PD winning? Is he repeating as 100 breast champion?
Yes.
Wow, resounding. I'm sorry, three-peating. Is he pulling off the first three-peat in the 100 breast ever? All think so.
I think my thing with PD is that before everything came out about China, I did have Chin beating PD, but just all the distractions that have come in China's way, I can't imagine it not having any effect on the Chinese swimmers, especially for a top swimmer like Chin. I saw like a report saying that he's already been drug tested 46 times this year. And
that's so many.
And just for comparison, Shayna Jack, who was suspended for doping a few years ago, has only been tested 8 times. So just that sort of stuff can weigh on you. And I think it's definitely going to have an effect on Chin's performance. And then there's PD, who's just motivated as ever, coming back, seems to be on form. I think he takes it. I don't think Chin is going to add enough and perform bad enough to be off the podium. So I think he can get second. And then I'm going to be basic and boring and pick the 3rd overall seed to get 3rd with Nick Fink.
Ooh, I think that's a bold pick. Sophie?
Yeah, I did not really have a strong opinion about this 3 minutes ago, but then you asked the question and both picks are required. So yes, PD's going to three-peat. I do think it will be close between him and Chin. I think Chin gets silver. I agree with Yanyan's points about how mentally taxing, everything that the Chinese swimmers have been going through is going to weigh on them, and that probably won't dissipate as the meet goes, and if anything, might only get more intense. So I do think that is going to continue to have a role throughout this 9 days of swimming. And I like the pick for Fink with bronze. I do think that this is going to be an incredibly close field that's going to come down, to the touch. Maybe the first two will be a little bit ahead, but you've got Fink, Martin Engi, Kaminga, those three all tied for silver last summer in one of the strangest looking podium pictures that I think I've ever seen. So there's no reason really to not expect them to all be close together in the final. And it just comes down to, I think, who you've got winning that touch. And I think Fink has a great case for that.
Laura, anything to add?
No, I don't think this is one of the events I have strong feelings about. I'm with Yanyan on thinking that the Chinese team has a lot more distracting their mental game going into this Olympics, and this is where I think PD gets by for gold. I don't think it's in the fashion we saw him win his previous Olympic titles, but I think he still gets in there. Like, he's all in on this race, right?
Yeah, I think so, especially after seeing him throw down 57.9, a 57.9 at British trials. Like, as previously stated, consistency matters, and he hasn't been exceedingly consistent over the last 3 years, but neither has Chen Haiyang. He had a great year last year, but we haven't seen him really what he can do this season. His best is 57.6. I think in a close race, I'm giving it to PD because he knows how to do the last 10 meters better than anyone in history. I'm going to go with Lucas Matzereth of Germany for bronze because he's on the younger side. He's gone a best time in the last year and a half. Nick Fink did not look good at trials. And he's old. And I just don't trust it. I'm not confident. Nicolo Martinenghi has been really elite for a long time, so I don't necessarily trust him to go a best time. Arno is on the getting back to his peak form. He's old too. I could go down the list, but Lucas Matzereth, I just feel like has potential to just kind of to go a best time. And I think if someone goes a best time in that final, like you said, it's going to be tightly packed, and he's going to be my pick because the rest of them, I don't have a great feeling about any of them. None of them have showed me that they have the signs of life.
Oh, by the way, my comment was not meant to be enough on Shayna Jack. I was just doing an analogy because the graph that I saw compared the Chinese swimmers to Australians, and Shayna Jack was just right there.
It's fair. No,
fair.
I think your comments were, no knock on Shayna. That's just what's been reported. All good. All right.
I like how Coleman for you. I like how with PD it's experience, but with everybody else they're just old.
Is PD on your draft team, Coleman? You can be honest.
I wish. Lucas Matzereth isn't. I'll tell you that much.
All right.
But
he's unbiased.
I think he could do it. I don't have any male breaststrokers on my fantasy team.
Yeah, because they're all old.
Because they're all old. I don't trust any of them. With PD, I think he has more motivation than the rest of them. At this point, like they've all done it, and PD's kind of like one of those athletes who is a little psycho in his competitiveness, like Michael Jordan or Michael Phelps. All right, we're moving on to day 3. First final is the women's 400 IM. Summer breaking a world record. I feel like that's an easy. We got a thumbs up. We got it.
I think she could have a better chance than the World Championships because the World Championships, in the World Championships, the 400 IM is at the end of the meet, so she's usually a few seconds slower. But this time around, the 400 IM is going to be her second event, so I think there is a greater chance of seeing her break the world record.
is I mean, I think that's a good take. I don't think this is a particularly exciting event. I think by the times it's McIntosh, Grimes, and Forrester there at 424, 431, and 432. The next fastest entrant is 434.0. But the Olympic final in Tokyo was kind of a surprise. Is anyone deviating from those three on the podium in that
I have
order?
a hot take. Emma Wyatt for blonde. She's had a great year in short course.
Okay.
And she nearly beat Katie Grimes at Olympic trials. It was a really good race between the two. And yeah, I don't know. And she's been 432 before. She reigning Olympic silver medalist. And I think she spoke about how training at Florida has really boosted her and how she's gained so much motivation from being DQ'd in this race at trials last year. So I don't know. That's just me wanting to have a hot take, and I think Emma Wyatt's amazing. Of course. I also do wonder if Katie Grimes is going to be in top shape because she was okay at trials. She was not great. And I think she has enough room to add a few seconds and still get silver if the event plays out the way that it has in previous years. But I don't know. Just the hypothetical.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
she went 435 at trials, which is like far from her best.
yeah, I mean, I think both Grimes and Wyatt, like at trials, they didn't have a ton of competition for this event. You know, it was pretty clearly.
Lilia Bugnar was like right with them on the last leg.
Yeah. So, you know, that makes me wonder about what kind of form they brought into trials and how much more they have to drop once they fully taper for the games. I also like the Emma Wyatt pick. I don't have her medaling, but I think she's going to move up a lot. You know, she's kind of lurking down there with that 435.5, and she's been 432.7. So, you know, she's got a lot of room to move up.
All right. Those are good takes. I think we're good on the women's 400 IM. We've been dragging our feet. We're gonna pick it up a little bit. That's just because we love talking about Olympic swimming so much. Next up, men's 200 free. We might spend a while on this one. Laura, start us off. Give me a good take on this one. Men's 200 free. Who do you have winning?
It's Chlorine Daddy's race. Like Skinny Legend's gonna get it done. I think in the 100 his chances are. I mean, there are people faster than him in the 100. I think he's just a little too skinny for the 100, but I think the 200 is his race. Like he's the only swimmer who's been sub 143 or even sub 144. Is that right in the whole field? And I think he just gets it done. I mean, all the interviews I've listened to of him, he's just so calm, collected. He's young, but I think he's got a great mindset going into these games. And also being from a nation with sending a smaller squad, he won't have had relays to worry about heading into this. While other swimmers from this list, I'm reading very quickly here, but we'll have a couple of other races under their belt by this point.
Remember when we were like, will Romania medal in the 4x100 free relay? Paris.
Yeah, because he's going to go 44 and then.
Laura, give me your podium. Who's behind Chlorine Daddy?
Let me just remember what mindset I was in. I think Huang Sun-woo for silver. I don't remember why, but I'll remember it later. And then Duncan Scott for bronze.
Ooh, okay.
I think I had
Yanyan.
Popovich. Yeah. I had Popovich for gold, Huang for silver, and Matt Richards reigning, 2023 world champion for bronze.
Yeah, I like the pick. Sophie, podium.
Yeah, it feels weird to say this in a field that's so deep, but Laura and I have the same podium. I think.
Oh, wow.
the Duncan Scott pick is a largely sentimental one for me, but I have him in for bronze ahead of Richards, even though, they were that whole squad of, him, Richards, Tom Dean, and James Guy were so close at British trials. I think Scott gets it done and gets back on the podium. Martins is sitting there with a 144.1, I think for second seed overall, but I think the 400 is his better chance than here in the 200. The field just gets so much deeper, even with the defending Olympic champion out of the field, that has not really done anything to how strong of a final this is going to be.
Yeah, we've got 9 guys under 145 during the Olympic qualifying period, which is just bananas. This event has gotten so much faster, and I think us as swim fans are really benefiting from that. I like Hwang Sun-woo for silver just because I think he took it out like a madman in Tokyo, and I think he's learned how to kind of pace himself a little better since then, but I think he's hungry for that Olympic medal for sure. I think if Lucas Martins wins the 400, though, he's gonna get on that podium. He'll be riding high after. Even if he medals in the 400, I think he'll have some good confidence going into the 200. So I think I like him for medaling as well, especially because he's been 144.1 already this season, and it's in his home continent, so he's gonna feel right at home. It would be crazy if there was an all-European podium, which I get it could be. I think Hwang is going to get in there, but all-European podium would be pretty nuts. But chances a U.S. man makes it on the podium. Not high.
Not high, but also like that. The field behind Popovich is so close together that it wouldn't be like a huge deal if Luke Hobson does medal.
If it is someone,
He did
it's
go one
Hobson.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I say low chances.
I mean, I think it's a better chance than the U.S. women beating Australia in the 4x1 freestyle relay.
Yeah.
But I do think pretty low. I mean, and I think, with Popovich and Hwang, it's really interesting to think about, right? They were so young at their first games, in Tokyo, and now they've had like this 3 more years of experience, and they've both, in their own ways have really like electrified this field, and have won multiple medals, at all these international meets. So to have them coming in as 2 of the really strong favorites for the podium, I think that experience is going to lend them a lot.
On that note, I'll close out this men's 200 free. Yeah, I don't think U.S. men medaling in this one is very high. I'll give it 17%, so slightly better than the women's 200 free relay. But the rise of Popovich and Hwang Sun-woo, I'm just going to go down all the major meets because this is pretty cool. 21 Olympics, Popovich 4th, Hwang Sun-woo 7th. 21 short course world champs, Hwang Sun-woo 1st. 22 world champs, Popovich 1st, Hwang Sun-woo 2nd. 22 Euro champs, Popovich 1st. 22 world junior champs, Popovich 1st. 22 short course world champs, Hwang Sun-woo 1st, Popovich 2nd. 23 world champs, Hwang Sun-woo 3rd, Popovich 4th. 23 Asian games, Hwang Sun-woo 1st. 24 world championships, Hwang Sun-woo 1st. 24 Euro champs, Popovich 1st. So they since those Tokyo Olympics, they have just been on a complete tear in this event, and I think it's going to be really exciting seeing them go at it once again in Paris.
Yeah, I think for Yanyan's pick with Richards on the podium, I remember this article that I think it's Retta who wrote it, years ago about like the 6 men to like really watch, young stars to really watch for in.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Yeah.
And it's like Popovich, Hwang, and Richards are all on there. So I think it would be really cool to see that podium as well.
Who were the other 3 men?
I think Matt Sates was on that list.
Hold on.
Well, they can't all age well.
Yeah.
Oh, Dolby 6.
Yeah.
That's like Retta's favorite subject.
The international men's 200 freestyle.
Jacob Whittle
no.
and Sam Southam are the other ones. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I would really love to see Sates have a good meet here, even though he's not swimming the 200 free. And then, I mean, Whittle and Southam have certainly come along just more in the 100 free, I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, men's 100 back.
Ooh.
Chances Ryan Murphy wins gold and as a repeat Olympic champion after losing in Tokyo.
I think
Over under 50%.
I'm going to go 50 on the dot.
Over under, you can't do that.
Oh,
I'm going under.
51%.
All right. Okay. So we're taking Ryan Murphy.
I'll take the under as well. I have Chekon winning this. I think it's one of the more interesting stats that both he and Murphy, their season bests are already exactly what they went at Fukuoka last year. So they're both clearly on form. And I think it's going to be really close between them. I just have Chekon winning this race. But I think it's him for gold, and then I have Murphy in silver, and I think Armstrong is third. He might do it from lane 8 again, but I think he's third and he gets it done.
I have Sophie's picks except swapping Murphy and Chekon. I believe. Okay, yeah, I do have those picks.
And I have Yanyan's picks except swapping Armstrong and Murphy.
So go down the list, Laura. What's your order?
My order is Armstrong, Chekon, Murphy.
So you have Hunter winning.
Yeah.
Explain yourself.
There 4 men in this field have been 51. I've already spoken about how the last person is Xu Jiayu, who is, again, Chinese swimmer. I don't like saying this nerf, but I'm just like being observed peeing in a cup so many more times than everyone else, has got to do something to you. I don't know. And I just, when I look at their personal best times, I'm like, they're so close. I kind of, in this case, it's just like, this is why I never win pick'ems. I'm betting on the Magic Man to pull some magic out of his hat again. But I just think it's gonna be a roll of the dice when we get to Paris. And so I'm betting on Armstrong.
It does look really close. I'm going Laura's podium, but switching Chekon and solely because Hunter is on my fantasy team. I think he could win it. I think he had a rocky trials in the 100 back. I'm guessing the start slippage didn't do much for his psyche going into the final, but I think he's going to bounce back. He has Olympic experience. So I think he's going to go into this final with some confidence. He's been training next to Murphy for the last 2 seasons. So I think that is going to play into him winning his first Olympic gold medal. And then I think Murphy, the model of consistency, gets second, and Chekon is right in there for third.
I'd forgotten about that slip start. Now I'm even higher on Armstrong.
First individual Olympic gold if he wins on the relay.
Oh, yeah.
He could already have a gold medal by this point.
First individual gold. We want gold medals for Hunter Armstrong. That's what I'm saying. All right. Next up is women's 100 breast. Next final for day 3. Who you got? Who's going first? Sophie, women's 100 breast. What do you think?
I feel like I'm about to be a little bit contradictory because we have just spent so much time talking about how someone watching you pee in a cup is bad for your psyche, but I do think that it's Kang who takes the gold here.
Wow.
He's looked really strong this whole season. me see where. There we go. Yeah, 104.39 coming in. That's her personal best as well. She's just been like on an absolute tear. And yes, I think that there is going to be like a huge added mental weight for the Chinese swimmers. I don't think she gets excluded from that, but I do think that, you know, her improvement trajectory in the last year or so is not going to slow down, and I have her for gold.
I had Tatiana Smith for gold. I think she's the second overall seed. No, she's down in fifth, but she's been 105.4. I think the better event for her is the 200 breast, where she's probably the favorite to win, but she's also been a top swimmer in the 100 breast, and I think out of all these swimmers, I think I trust her the most to pull something off during the Olympics and to have some form of consistency. Because with the Chinese swimmers, you never know. Ruda has kind of been on and off. Lily King has disappointed in recent meets. Pilato's also been kind of inconsistent. So Smith has really always been right there, and I think next year, well, this year is gonna be she's her shot at winning, and I have Chang in second because I agree about the toll that it's going to be on Chinese swimmer. But it's the same with Chin. It's like she can really she can really only add so much. And I can still see her going like a 105. And then I have Lily King in third.
I love Yanyan's reasoning because Tatiana's on my fantasy team.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting with Tatiana because she, if I'm not mistaken, she missed Worlds last year, right? So like we didn't see her. So it's been, you know, a couple years. Did she? Am I totally making that up?
You are. She got silver at Worlds
Yeah, she
last
got
year.
silver.
Okay, well, never mind.
I think she didn't swim the
22. She didn't swim in 22.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these world championship meets are really blurring together for me. There's kind of become one big meet in my head. So then I don't have a point anymore. So someone else can go.
I love Tatiana winning again, selfishly. But I like Tatiana in first and Tang in second. And then I think I have Ruda for my bronze pick with Lily just missing. Lily's was 104.7 to win trials, but she had home court advantage big time there. She always swims fast in Indianapolis. I think she'll be a 10 slower. We saw this, as Yanyan mentioned, we kind of saw her, underperform at the last Olympics. I think she missed a podium at a Worlds in the last couple of years. In 22. She
was sick though, right? At that meet?
Didn't she do it twice? She got forced.
She did do it twice
in a row.
at 23 as well. Yeah, so I don't like leaving Lily King out. If she was on my fantasy team, I wouldn't. But facts are facts. So that's what those are my picks. Laura, any notes to add?
Well, I'm just looking at my picks and I'm like, I've got Lily King for gold, and I'm trying to go. So I'm gonna walk through. I think this is what I was thinking. I think we saw a relatively slow final in Tokyo. Like everyone got slower going to finals, and I just think if the field is not completely on their best, I think Lily King races to the win.
But the thing is, the final was slow in 2022, and Lily King was just slower.
I think the Americans put a lot more emphasis on the Olympics and over Worlds meets. Like, obviously they want to perform as well, but I think there's a lot of extra, just like, I also just like, I hate counting out Lily King, but I'm going to say I am like maybe 60% on this gold pick. I don't remember what I was thinking when I did this. But I think Tang gets up there on the podium. And I think Ruta as well. Her comeback has been It looks strong to me. But again, yeah, I would say she's done a good job. But yeah, I just think if I get so it's all conditional here for me. If this field is like is struggling a little bit, I think it's King who gets to the wall first. But if someone's gonna pop a 104, then I don't think it's King.
You didn't sell me, Laura.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Another argument against King is that she went 104 at trials last year. That was like the best she's been in quite some time, and she still missed the podium at Worlds. And this year she was 105 mid, which was already quote unquote slow for her standards. And she's been slower from trials to Worlds every year.
I just hope Lily King doesn't hear all this. All right.
Well, then it's just motivate. Then Laura's.
Yeah, wouldn't you want her to hear it so she can be motivated and go faster?
Yeah, exactly.
She's on someone else's fantasy
because
team,
I need Tatiana to win.
I'm playing 4D chess here. Okay.
Okay, last final of day 3, women's 200 freestyle. We are looking at a pretty depleted field. No Summer McIntosh, no Katie Ledecky.
This is a pretty easy podium.
Yeah, this one's
agreed. No someone else, I think, but
Steenbergen.
Steenbergen, thank you. We're looking at Ariarne Titmus versus Molly O'Callaghan for far and away the top 2 picks. I think we're looking at Siobhan Howie as a medalist as well. Any further thoughts?
Yeah, I think the race strategy is going to be really interesting here. Both Molly and Ariarne were under Molly's world record from 2023, and Molly was out quite a bit faster than she was when she set that world record at Australian trials. Obviously she got beaten, so I think it will be really interesting to see where she tries to make up those 2 tenths to Titmus's 152.2. I think, and Molly was 152.48. She went out fast and was ahead of Titmus at the first 50, and then Titmus just completely took over that race and didn't trail again. So we've gotten really used to seeing Molly just absolutely come from behind and crush everybody on that back half. And I think it will be really interesting to see if that's what she goes back to here in Paris, or if she tries to find another way to beat Titmus. I think this is just so fascinating to think about, especially because they are training partners. They're both at St. Peter's Western. And
I will say, Dean, or maybe it's Ari, in a recent interview said they don't really train together though.
I think it makes it just even more interesting.
Yeah, Molly's more on the sprint side, and then Ari's more on the distance side. So I think Ari said they don't train together hardly at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, thinking about that then, this 200 is kind of where they meet in the middle. I don't know, hearing that just kind of makes it all the more interesting for me to think about, how these 2 different race strategies are going to stack up next to each other.
I think if Molly will win, she has a better shot of winning if she does her traditional back half strategy, because that's what she's used to, and that's how she's won races in the past. And I think just sticking with the style that she's comfortable with is probably a good way to maybe psych out other swimmers. It's they know that she's gonna be coming back for them no matter what, and they have to watch out. That's how she's won so many races in the past. I think if she goes with that strategy and she has an extra gear, she will have the upper hand, and that's how she can win.
She's going to Titmus. I feel like it's super interesting that's how Titmus first beat Katie Ledecky in the 400 free, and that could be how Molly O'Callaghan ends up beating Ariarne Titmus in the 200 free. The hottest take I can offer here is Yang Junchuan getting in there for bronze, who has a best time that's only 4/10 behind Siobhan. She's a little younger. I think Siobhan has focused more on the 100 this Olympic cycle. Not to say she's not going to do well in the 200, but Siobhan also swims really fast in season, so I don't think we're going to see a huge drop from her, especially in this event. Whereas I think Yang has more potential for a best time there, but I do think it's heavily going to be between those four. That is our first 3 days of Olympic competition. Thanks for hanging with us, and stay tuned the next 2 days for the next 6-day event by event preview of these 2024 Paris Olympic Games. You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.